Hello and welcome in this morning to the Gathering Echo New Testament Church of the Firstborn. Welcome everyone watching online. We invite you to join us, stick with us, hang out for a little while, click on the links, click on the share this stream. We invite you to give. There's a comment that will be dropped down below where you can give to this ministry. We thank you for joining us. We have a special message today. It's part 2 of last week. And this one is called the Foal of Man. So remember last week we talked about a couple things. We talked about a lot. I was proud of myself last week, though. I kept it under an hour. I think that's the first time I've ever done that. So I was very proud of myself. Thank you, Father. Let's repeat that. Let's repeat that in Jesus' name. So the Foal of Man. So what did we learn last week, class? The Son of Man. Jesus refers to him as the Son of Man. He refers to himself as the Son of Man. And we learned that translation of that word son is huios. And the word huios can be translated as foal. Okay? So when Jesus is saying, I'm the Son of Man, he can also be referencing himself as the Foal of Man. Now, what is a foal? A foal is a baby not a miniature, but a young donkey, okay? A very young colt, all right? So we're going to get all up into that today. But before we get started on that, I want to tell you something out of the Gospel of Thomas. Surprise, surprise. Because we're gonna parallel this with some other scriptures today. The Gospel of Thomas, saying 3, says, when you know yourselves, then you will be known. Think about this. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. When you know yourselves, then you will be known. Sounds like a paradox, but it's not. When you know who you really are, you will be known by who you've been made by. When you finally see yourself for who you really are, then you will know who you are, and you will know that you're loved by the one who made you. All right, keep going. And you will understand that you are the children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you dwell in poverty, and you are poverty. All right, saying number 4, listen to this. Jesus said the person olden days will not hesitate to ask a little child 7 days old about the place of life. And that person will live, for many of the first will be last, and will become a single one. Remember last week we talked about the 2 becoming 1. The 2 representing the duality of this body that we've been put on. We've always been one from the beginning, right? We've been one in Christ from the beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with pros, face to face with God from the beginning. So when you were 1, you became 2 when you were put in a body. But Jesus is saying, check this out, when you become a single one, the first will be last. I want to read one more portion of this, saying number 22. We hit this last week. Jesus saw some babies nursing. He said to his disciples, these nursing babies are like those who enter the kingdom. They said to him, then shall we enter the kingdom as babies? Jesus said to them, when you make the 2 into 1. All right. Turn to Matthew chapter 11. I pray that there will be a time when the Gospel of Thomas is not foreign, because it is, I'm telling you, everything that I'm reading is lining up, and we're going to do it today. You're going to see verse for verse through these verses that we go through in Luke here in a few minutes, that the Gospel of Thomas just is so beautiful, and so it needs its place in our Bible. You know, we just a little bit of excerpt on that here. The Gospel of Thomas is considered a Gnostic gospel, but it was not included in the canon because they deemed it as heresy or whatever. I challenge you to read it with an open mind to make your own decision, but I've touched it. It has touched me in a mighty way. All right, Matthew chapter 11. Remember we were talking about a pearl of great price last week? What's the pearl of great price? It's you, Margie, that's right. We're learning. We're all learning together. The pearl of great price is you. It's me. See, we think that we've been taught so long that we're as the old church would say, snow-covered dung. And that's not true. Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God's the most famous sermon in American history, and that's what he said, that we are snow-covered dung. Let me tell you, my friends, that is not true. That is not true. We are a pearl of great price. We are one with God and have been from the very beginning. So, yeah, we're the apple of His eye, man. Those of you watching at home, you weren't here, but we just had a bombshell of a worship service. We watched God move in a mighty way. We watched a baby be touched. We watched all these things happen. So we invite you to come join us here, because I can't put into words what it's like to be in the room when the same Son of Man that we read about walks in these aisles, walks down the pathways of our heart, and He touches us. We got prophesied to this morning. We got touched this morning, and we invite you to come and enjoy the presence of God at this level as well. But please stay with us at home. All right, so Luke, told you guys to go to Matthew 11, verse number 20. We're going to go to Luke in a minute. I'm really excited. I'm trying to see through like a million tears that I've cried already this morning, so forgive me. Little disoriented. I didn't plan on that, but ain't it great when our plans get messed up? Ain't it great when God wrecks your plans? That's my life. That's the story of my life. Make a plan and watch God destroy it and make it better. Watch your life. Make your plans and let God laugh. Right? You want to make God laugh? Tell Him your plans. Make God laugh, tell Him your plans. And that's my life. Because I can't tell you what I've been given. I can't put it into words how blessed I've been. There was a time when I thought I would have nothing. There was a time when I thought I would die alone. We sung that first song, you believe the lie that you'll wind up alone. You start believing that lie. I believed that lie as a teenager, and here I am. I've got 4 children, a wife that loves me. I've got friends, I've got family, and that's the power of a lie. The power of a lie will tell you you're not worthy, you are snow-covered dung, and you'll watch your life just go down that descent. But if you have the faith, that's what I did. And Melody asked me to go here last week after we preached. If you've heard me preach before or tell my testimony, I was about 16 years old. I stopped underneath a culvert in the highway, and I was just devastated, depressed. I carved Jesus in that culvert and prayed to Him and said, if you're real, if you are who you say you are, show up, because I don't want to live this way anymore. 1 week later, my wife walks into the community mart where I was working. The rest has been history. So last week, Melody wanted me to take her there. So I took Malachi years ago to that same culvert, and last Sunday after church, I took my little girls to that culvert. And they got in there and they said, where's Jesus at? I don't see Him. Ain't that our life, right? We were told He's going to be here, and then you hit a situation, you walk like those girls did in that culvert, and you're like, where's Jesus at? I don't see Him. I don't see Him. But I told him, I said, well, right here's where I drew His picture, and right here's where He heard me, and right here's where you guys came from. Because you guys wouldn't even be standing on this rock that we call earth if God wouldn't have met me in this culvert right here. Man, this stuff is just all over me today. All right. Matthew chapter 11, verse number 27. All things are delivered unto me of my Father, and no man knoweth the huios, the Son, the foal, the little foal. No man knoweth the foal, but the Father. Neither knoweth any man the Father, save the foal, or the Son, or the little boy, and he to whomsoever the little boy will reveal him. Verse 28, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Now that word light there is elephros, which is right, but it's the base of eleison, which means younger. So it can be translated, my yoke is easy and my burden is light and younger. My burden is light and younger. Because how many know that things were a lot more light when you were younger? Things were a lot easier to carry when you were younger. You could bump your knee, scrape your knee, see the bone maybe, and 5 minutes later you'll be just walking around like nothing's ever. Mama put a Band-Aid on it, and you're just going, I need to go back outside and play, Mama. No, we have to get you to the hospital. No, I'm fine. It's just a boo-boo. And then from one moment to the next, you're fine. And as we talked about before, once we get up in age, that's all we like to talk about with our fellows and our friends, right? All the boo-boos that we have. You go sit around somewhere, oh, yeah, my knee bothers me too, man. It bothers me too. Oh, your elbow, you don't know nothing about elbows. You don't know. Mine's fake. Mine's got metal in it. They put metal all down. I got 19 screws through here, 2 plates. That's the conversation at Hardee's in the morning, right? Yeah, I remember getting all them screws and yeah. I mean, you don't remember that, Jack. Come on. And a kid's just like, let's just go play. But all we like to talk about is our body and our ailments and our weaknesses, right? We identify ourselves with the 2 instead of the 1. And with the 2 instead of the 1, because the 2 is all of this and all that comes with it. All the aches and all the pains and all the weight and all the work and all the toil. But Jesus said, consider the lilies, for they neither toil nor spin. And even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed as one of these. Come on, man. All right, now go to Luke 9. Luke 9. We're going to have some fun this morning. Luke 9, verse 18, okay? And it came to pass, as he was alone praying, his disciples were with him, and he asked them, saying, whom say the people that I am? They answered him, saying, John the Baptist. But some say Elias, and others say that one of the prophets is risen again. So this would have been after John's death, John the Baptist, okay? So we talked about John the Baptist last week, right? He's in exile. He sends his disciples to Jesus to say, are you who you say you are? Because I'm in prison. And you said in Isaiah that you were going to open the prison doors, and John was caught up in what? The 2. The 2, not the 1. Because when John was a voice in the wilderness, crying in the wilderness, he was operating as the 1. Then when he got locked up, much like we do when we face situations, we turn back into that duality again. We turn back into that double-minded way. Oh, my God, my body's in trouble. It's a fear reaction. Jesus, are you who you say you are? And, of course, John recognizes himself as the 2, and we all know how that goes. He gets in an argument he shouldn't have been in. He says things he shouldn't have said. He let his ego take his head. Literally. His ego cost him his literal head. So this would have been right after, in the same time frame that happened. And Jesus is asking his disciples, who are men saying that I am? And his disciples are like, they're saying you're John the Baptist reincarnated, man. They say you're John the Baptist reincarnated. But Peter speaks up, verse 20. He said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? Jesus said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? Peter answering said, the Christ of God. Okay? The Christ, or the anointed one of God. But I love Jesus' response here. In some of the other references in the other Gospels, Jesus will say, flesh and blood has not revealed this unto you, Simon Bar-Jonas, but my Father which is in heaven. But in Luke's account, Jesus goes straight to telling them to shut up. This is literally what he says. Hey, you're the Christ of God. This is what Jesus says. Don't you tell anybody that. Don't you tell no man that thing. Don't tell anybody that, Peter. You're right, but don't tell anybody that. Now what does Jesus say after that? Verse 22, get ready. The Son, the little boy, the foal of man must suffer many things and be rejected of the elders and the chief priests and scribes and be slain and be raised the 3rd day. So Peter says, you're the Christ of God. They say you're John the Baptist reincarnate. I know who you are. You're the Christ of God. And Jesus says, all right, Peter, hold on a minute. You're right, but don't go tell everybody that, because the little boy of God, the little Son of Man, the little Foal of Man must suffer, be crucified, and resurrected. So he's constantly, throughout this dialogue that we're going to go through, try to shift the opinion of his disciples. Because his disciples are not picturing him on a little foal. Spoiler alert. They're picturing him as David. When David would come in from a victory, he would come in on a majestic steed, riding back into Jerusalem in victory over his enemies. That's what King David would come in like, right? David would come in riding the horse. We just conquered, we just won, we just ended it. David, macho man. Macho man. That's what the disciples wanted to be. I want to be a macho man. Macho. Nobody's singing with me, and it hurts my heart. It just hurts so bad because I know that you guys know that song. But anyway. Oh, yeah. Macho Man Randy Savage. I don't know if y'all know nothing about that. Anyway, I'm getting in my Christ is Lord here thing. I'm getting into Peter, Peter's way out there, right? But he's right. He says, you're the Christ of God. And Jesus says, shh, zip it, because I'm the little boy of God. I'm the little foal of God. I'm the little foal of man. I'm the Son of Man. And I have to be turned over, killed, and resurrected. All right, so he says in verse 23, and he said to them all, if any man, anthropos, man face, right? Does everybody remember the analogy I made last week with Marshall and Malachi? Let's do that again. Where's Marshall at? Come on, you were supposed to be prepared, man. I told you we were going to do this. Malachi, come up here. While she's going and getting Marshall, we'll do this. Come here, hurry. Come on, act like you're fast or something. You run around the house like you got no business. Come on. All right, so I'll go this way. All right. Nope, this way. All right, come here. All right, so, again, this is my son, and he looks like a man now, right? This is the same little dude that I'd come home every day, and he'd be wanting to play, get down on the floor, do all these things, and now he's bigger than me. He's a man, right? He's a man. So Jesus said, I'm the Son of Man. Most of the time when you picture the Son of Man, you're picturing Jesus with the beard and the long hair and all this, right? Right? All right, so you come around here. Actually, thank you, son. You can be seated. Come on up. Don't be scared. Now, this would be a more accurate description of what Jesus says. I am the little foal of man. Marshall being the little boy, I'm the little boy of man, right? This is more like what Jesus is saying, okay? This is, you having fun? Yeah, you having fun? All right. So, come get him. All right. So, now keep that analogy, right? Keep that analogy in your mind. Because he says, the Son of Man, or the foal of man. He's always talking about the little boy, all right? Peter says, you're the Christ of God. Jesus says, shh. The little boy of man must be handed over to the men. Okay? Then keep on going, verse 23. And he said unto them, if any man will come after me, after there is opizo, to regard with close attention, to mimic. If any man wants to mimic me, Big Brent talked about this last week as Marshall, the little boy I was just holding for you, those of you that don't know. He had his little ukulele here last week, and he was up there just jamming like nobody's business when we were playing our music, and he was mimicking his father. So if any man wants to mimic me, what does Jesus say? Let him deny himself. Now we're going to run into some problems. Let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it. For what is a man advantaged if he gain the whole world and lose himself, or be cast away? We have a problem because himself means two different things in these two verses. Look, verse 24. Actually, hold on a minute. Verse 23, look. If any anthropos or man wants to come after me, let him deny himself. So he wants to deny himself. Look at verse 25. For what is a man advantage if he gain the whole world and lose himself? Why does it sound like it's two? Because it is. The Gospel of Thomas that all the people told you to throw out of your Bible clears this up. That's why we read these verses and some of these things don't make sense with our common knowledge and our common language. If a man loses his life, he'll find it. That makes a whole lot more sense when you know that the two have to become one. It makes a whole lot more sense when he says that you have to deny yourself. What is the self you are denying? Get ready for this. This is what our brother Francois Dutoit says. Verse 24 in the Mirror reads like this. Trying to keep the self of your own making intact is a lost cause. Trying to keep the self of your own making intact is a lost cause. To begin with, losing yourself in me is realizing that I am the source of who you are by design. That is your saving grace. My goodness, if you don't have a mirror, I encourage you to get one. All right, verse number 26. Not like the mirror. Most of you have mirrors. I'm talking about the Mirror Bible. But they both work the same way. I mean, you look in the mirror and you see yourself, you're like, oh my God, the Bible that I'm reading is mirroring what I'm seeing in my actual mirror. And you begin to love yourself. You begin to look into the mirror and you don't see the tears or the scars or the pain anymore. You don't see the duality. You see the singleness of I. If your eye be single, your whole body will be full of light. You are a pearl of great price. Jesus bought your whole body to bring out of that body the true one. That's you. All right, let's keep going. Verse 26. For whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the little boy of man or the little foal of man be ashamed. And when he shall come in his own glory and in his Father's and of the holy angels. Verse 27. But I tell you of a truth, there be some standing here which shall not taste of death till they see the kingdom of God. Now listen to what the Gospel of Thomas says here. The disciples said unto Jesus, this is saying 18 of the Gospel of Thomas, tell us how our end will be. Jesus said, have you discovered the beginning? Then so that you are seeking the end, for where the beginning is, the end will be. Blessed is the one who stands at the beginning. That one will know the end and will not taste death. Jesus said, blessed is one who came into being before coming into being. Ah! Come on, people. Get you a Gospel of Thomas if you ain't bought one. I'm telling you, you got to get one. Have you discovered the beginning? Then so that you are seeking the end, for where the beginning is, the end will be. So your end, the self of your own making, when that ends, you see your true beginning. The beginning that's always been. So when the two become one, the true one that you've always been. Man, this is fun. Verse 28. And it came to pass about 8 days after these sayings. What sayings? The sayings that Peter started, right? Thou art the Christ of God. And Jesus said what? I'm the little boy of man. Okay? Verse 28. And it came to pass about 8 days after these sayings. He took Peter and John and James and went up to a mountain to pray. And he prayed. The fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was white and glistening. And Peter, in the back of his mind, is probably going, now, this is what I'm talking about. This is who I was looking for the whole time. The mighty, majestical, wonderful, beautiful, lightning, fire, brimstone Jesus. There he is. I knew it was him. All right, and then verse 30. And behold, there talked with him two men, which were Moses and Elijah. And Peter, in the back of his mind, is like, yes, this is why I followed you. To be cool, to be the man, to be somebody. Like, we can go take over the world. Here's Moses, here's Elijah. Let's go do this thing. Verse 31, who appeared in glory and spake of his decease, which he should accomplish at Jerusalem. But Peter and they that were with him were heavy with sleep. So Peter didn't imagine all those things just yet. He was asleep. And when they were awake, they saw his glory and the two men that stood with him. Now Peter's back in. Like, oh, I just woke up and here's Jesus with Elijah. Oh, and he's with Moses and he's turned into this God that I knew he always was in verse 33. And it came to pass as they departed from him. Who departed from him? Moses and Elijah. We're not going to get into this because we have been down this road so many times. And we might just get into it just a little bit right here. But our bishop has taught us so well that when Moses and Elijah walk away, what does that represent? The methods of Moses and the motive of Moses and the methods of Elijah, right? The motives of Moses and the methods of Elijah walk away. And who's left standing? The little boy of God, the little boy of man. All right? All right, so, and it came to pass as they departed from Peter and Jesus, Peter said unto Jesus, Master, it's good that I'm here. I knew I was here for a reason. This was the whole point of you calling me, wasn't it? To see Moses and Elijah and you. Wait a minute, Moses. Wait a minute, Elijah. Come back. Come back. Got an idea. Got an idea. You guys have been dead a long time. Now that you're back, I'm a master builder. I've got an idea. Let's build 3 tabernacles. For you, and you. What do you think? Jesus said nothing. Jesus said nothing. Nobody said anything. As a matter of fact, Moses and Elijah just vanished away. They just disappeared. How would that have felt if you were Peter? Like, I got a great idea. We're going to build 3 tabernacles. Boom, boom, boom. Slap it up. We're going to stay here forever and reign. And then they just vanish. And then Jesus is standing. But then this happens. While he thus spake, there came a cloud and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered the cloud. Verse 35, and there came a voice out of the cloud saying, This is my dear little boy. Hear him. This is my beloved son. That's what you've always pictured, right? But what if it was the humble voice of a father? The little human voice of God that said, This is my little boy. Peter, I know you wanted Elijah. I know you wanted Moses. I know you wanted macho man. But this is my little boy. Verse 36, and when the voice was past, Jesus was found alone, and they kept it close, and told no man in those days any of these things which they had seen. Now, get ready. Coming down off Mount Transfiguration now. Verse 37, and it came to pass that on the next day when they were come down from the hill, much people met him. And behold, a man of the company cried out, saying, Master, I beseech thee, look upon my son, for he is my only little boy. This is just so wild to read it in this context, to see that Peter says, Thou art the Christ of God. Jesus says, wait a minute, the little boy of man must be handed over. Then they go up Mount Transfiguration. Peter says, let me build 3 tabernacles because you're the man. No, this is my little boy. Come down Mount Transfiguration. Here's a little boy that is possessed, has all kinds of issues going on, and you hear the voice of a father whose child is sick. And if any of you have children, you know what that's like. You'd give anything to take their sickness. You'd give anything to take their pain. You'd give anything to bear their burden. But you can't. So the father does all he knows to do and sees Jesus coming down Mount Transfiguration with all the crowd and says, Look at my little boy. And just like that, everything started connecting. Look at verse number 39. And lo, a spirit takes him, and he suddenly cries out, and it teareth him that he foameth again, and bruising him hardly departeth from him. And I besought thy disciples to cast him out, and they couldn't. And Jesus said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you and suffer you? Bring that boy to me. Because the man says, I've already went to your disciples, and they couldn't heal him. Francois gives us a little clarification here in the mirror. He says that Jesus responded with a sign of frustration. How long will I be here face to face with you and mirror echo your identity before you finally get it? I cannot get any closer to anyone in any generation than what I already am in the incarnate prophetic word. Why confuse who I am with your twisted ideas of yourself, conceived in your unbelief? He then asked the Father to bring his Son to stand face to face with him. So Jesus, instead of just the translation that we get here with the King James, it's really, really rough. Oh, faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? Francois gives us a little clarity that Jesus was saying it like this. Boys, you're missing the point. You're trying to heal this little boy, worried about what you're going to be. You're trying to heal this little boy because you're the next big deal. And you're missing it. So bring the boy to me. So the boy comes forward. And yet as he was coming, the devil threw him down and tear him. And Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the child and delivered him again to his father. And they were all amazed. Get ready. They were all amazed at the mighty power of God. While they wondered everyone at all these things which Jesus said, he said unto his disciples, let this sink in your ears. The little boy of man must be delivered into the hands of men. So he heals this boy, and immediately Peter, James, and John and all the guys are like, mighty God, yes, he healed this child. God again, he's back. Now we're back. God's awesome. It's just the man child. It's like, yes, yeah, macho man. Jesus is like, boys, let this sink in your ears. The little boy of man must be handed over to men. Do you see the trajectory of this dialogue that Jesus is constantly saying, I'm the little foal of man. I'm the little colt of man. I'm the little boy of man. I know you just said I'm the Christ. You're right, but I'm the little boy. I know that I just got transfigured and you've seen Moses and Elijah, and you're right, but I'm the little boy. Did you not hear my father say that? This is my little boy. Hear ye him. I know you just saw me cast out this devil, or however we want to say it, heal this sickness, heal this epilepsy. I know you just seen me heal this epilepsy, and this boy is standing here completely healed. But get this, guys. Let this sink into your ears. I'm the little boy of man, and I have to be handed over into the hands of men. Verse 45. But they understood not his saying, and it was hid from them. And they perceived it not, and they feared to ask him that saying. So Jesus is like, okay, language doesn't work. Words don't work. I give up. I don't know how else to say it. So here's what we'll do. There was a reasoning among them, which of them should be the greatest. Verse 46. There it is in black and white. There it is in black and white. Jesus is constantly pointing, right? I'm the little boy. I'm the little foal. I'm the little foal. I'm the little foal. And what are his disciples talking about? Oh, I know who's going to be better. I know who's going to be the greatest. So Jesus said, words don't work. Language doesn't work. I hear your heart. Verse 47, Jesus, perceiving the thought of their heart, took a child and set him by him. Now we have the full context of this. Jesus has said it 3 times now. From Peter declaring he's the Christ, to Mount Transfiguration, to the boy being healed of epilepsy, they didn't hear any of the words that said, I'm the little boy of man. So Jesus just gets a little boy, much like I did a minute ago, said, this is it. Here, you won't hear my words. Look at the boy. Look at the boy. What does he say about the boy? You can't accept my words. You can't accept what I'm saying about me. Then receive this little boy. Whosoever shall receive this child in my name. What name is he talking about? Jesus or the Son of Man? Receive him in the name of the little boy, in the name of the little foal, in the name that I've been trying to tell you, Peter, that you can't hear. Receive the kid if you can't receive me. Because if you can receive the kid, guess what? You receive me anyway. And whosoever shall receive me, receiveth him that sent me. For he that is least among you all, the same shall be great. Check this out. Check out how Francois translates this. To embrace a little child is to embrace me. For a moment, forget about the great things you've witnessed and done. Imagine me as this little child. To see the significance of life hiding in a little one is to see what my Father sees in everyone. The Father's honor is vested in the little child. Your greatness is not in how famous you can be in your own or someone else's estimate, but in discovering your individual value in your Father's embrace. My goodness. He gives a little quotation here. The little child could be the boy Jesus had just healed. He thus points them away from their petty and irrelevant reasonings to the beauty and significance of this little person. Don't be distracted by the attention you receive and miss the importance of the individual. So very possibly the little boy that just got healed was the boy that Jesus stood in front of the disciples. Because when Jesus healed the little boy, what did their minds go to? We're rocking and rolling again. We're about to take over the world. We're about to take over the world. Jesus just healed this little boy. I'm pumped up again. Which one's going to be better? Me or James? Me or John? I think it's me. Jesus says, what are y'all talking about? I just healed this little boy, and you're caught up in your own fame and your own glory and all the things we're going to do, and you're missing that this is me. That's the little boy. This is the whole point. See the little boy. Receive the little child. Receive the little foal. Verse 49, and John answered and said, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name. And I know Jesus got to be like, oh my goodness. We saw one casting out devils in thy name. Guess what, Jesus? We forbade him because he's not with us. Jesus said, forbid him not. For he that is not against us is for us. You idiots. Jesus didn't say that, but I feel it in the language. But hey, I know you're trying to show me this about this little kid, right? And I know you're this kid, right? I know you keep saying that, Jesus. I hear you. But we saw this guy that was, he was casting out devils in your name, and he decided not to come with us, so we forbade him. What? Why? Oh, because he didn't follow us. Whoever's not against us is with us. Verse 51, and it came to pass, when the time was come that he should be received up, he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem, and sent messengers before his face, and they went and entered into a village of the Samaritans to make ready for him. All right? So when had he already been in Samaria? Who can answer? When had he been in Samaria already? What did he do in Samaria before this? He met somebody at the well. There we go. Fatini, right? Saint Fatini. He was in Samaria. He met Saint Fatini, or you might know her as the woman at the well. It's Saint Fatini, okay? The church doesn't give women any credit, so we're going to start fixing that. Her name's Saint Fatini, right? Saint Fatini, and she became one of the most successful disciples of Jesus, but you don't hear about her because the men blackball the women up through history, and we're correcting that. We're correcting that because Saint Fatini is the woman that he met at the well. And she converted the whole town of Samaria, right? So he showed her who she really was, and she goes and says, what? Let me tell you about a man who told me everything I ever did. And the whole city was converted to Jesus. But now, after all this has been said, Jesus had to go to Jerusalem. So he sends messengers ahead and says, hey, I know Samaria is going to be pumped up that I'm coming, but tell them I can't stop. I know the Samaritans are going to be pumped that I'm coming. They're going to be ready to throw a Macho Man Randy Savage party, but tell them that I can't stop. So they go and they tell the people, hey, Jesus can't stop here. Jesus can't stop here, okay? He's just going to come right on through. You know what else is significant about Samaria? Oh, this is good. This is some more from our dear brother, Francois Dutoit. This is what he says. This is possibly Sychar, where he encountered the woman at the well, which is at the foot of Mount Gerizim. Now, if you know our dear prophet Brent Grigg, you've heard him talk about Gerizim 1,800 times. He loves to talk about it. You know why? Because you need to get it. You need to get that Gerizim is what the woman brought up to Jesus at the well. He's like, give me some water. She's like, you don't even know who you're talking to. Okay? Your people don't talk to my people. We're not the same. Your people worship over there in that mountain. My people worship in this mountain. And Brent goes way back into the history of Mount Gerizim where it talks about all these wonderful things. I'm not going to get into that because that's his thing, man. He's great at it, all right? I'll give you all kinds of messages that you can go listen to on that. But Mount Gerizim represented all of the struggle of man trying to earn it. Mount Gerizim represented all of the people trying to say, you can worship in that mountain, we worship in this mountain. That's what she said to Jesus at the well. Your people don't worship with me. My people don't worship with you. Jesus said, your people worship, they know not what. Your people worship, they know not what. But there will come a day when the real worshipers will arise. And they will worship in spirit and in truth. So that's what we sang this morning. And now I worship you in spirit and in truth. What is the truth? You're the one. What is the truth? You're the pearl of great price. Spirit and truth. Also about the Samaritans. On the summit, now get ready, at the summit of Mount Gerizim, there is a rock which the Samaritans believe was the place where Abraham was about to sacrifice his son Isaac. See, and this is Francois saying, see my comment in Romans 4:24. Abraham saw my day, mankind's most extreme self-sacrifice offered in an attempt to win favorable attention of their deity could never match the sacrifice of God's lamb to win the attention of mankind. When Isaac questioned his father about the sacrifice, then Abraham announced, Jehovah Jireh. And he lifted up his eyes, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in the thorn bush by his horns. Behind him, faith sees the future in past tense. Okay, so I know we're jumping around everywhere, but I'm sorry. This is the Bible. This is how it works. Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac on Mount Gerizim long time ago, real long time ago, beginning of the Bible long ago, okay? Like Father Abraham had many sons long ago, long time ago. Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac top of Mount Gerizim because why? This is what we don't talk about. Well, God told him to. No. If you listen to Brent again, or if you listen to Bishop again, Abraham was following the religion of his fathers, which were the Mesopotamians, and they believed in child sacrifice. So sorry if Abraham's God thermometer is not that great. If Abraham's God voice in his head is not that great, because his God voice in his head said, take your son up there and kill him. That's not my father. So he takes his son up there. He's going to sacrifice his son on Mount Gerizim, and he's about to do it, right? He takes it, and we've all remember Sunday school, that wonderful, blessed story in Sunday school about murdering your son. And Jesus and Abraham lifts the knife, and he's about to drive the dagger into Isaac, and you hear this ram in the bushes, in the thicket, and he's got his horns caught. And God says, whoa, 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 there's a ram. And we've always said what? Well, the ram represents Jesus. Okay, I can go with that. But I think the ram is more significant in representing us trying to toil our way, because a ram is not a lamb. We've preached the ram like he's a lamb, but the ram is a ram. A ram has horns to ram. It's a big difference than a ram and a lamb. Put a ram and a lamb together, the ram will win, right? He will ram the lamb. That's just fun saying. He will ram the lamb into outer space, right? So there was a ram caught in the thicket. Well, he's got these twisted horns, right? And he's trying to ram his way out. Got to get out of this thicket now. Stupid thicket. And then here's this crazy man about to kill his son. He's like, hey! And you know the ram's got to be like, he's like really panicking now, because now he's about to literally die. He's not just caught in a thicket. He's going to get killed, sacrificed. And that is the story of our religion. There's the story of our religion. This is how religion works. Work, 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 work. Now you're going to die. There's religion for you. Let's sum it up the best way I can, like that ram. Work as hard as you can so you can get jerked out and killed. But it's not that. All these things are significant because the ram is not a lamb. The ram is not a little foal. The ram represents us trying in our duality, our two, trying to earn our way into the kingdom. But Jesus said, you don't even see the kingdom, and it's standing right in front of you. It's the little boy. All right, so all that to say he couldn't stop in Samaria. He couldn't stop in Samaria, right? So I just give you a big backdrop of what's going on Mount Gerizim there in Samaria. Verse 53, and they did not receive him. I wish the Bible would have been a little more elaborate, because all it says is they did not receive him. More than likely what that means is they were peed off. They were ticked off. They were probably gigging him. You ain't got time to stop here, Jesus. Throwing rocks at him, spitting at him. This is real. This is really what it was like. He's going through Gerizim. They didn't want nothing to do with him because he said, I ain't got time to stop, guys. I got to go to Jerusalem. So guess what his disciples say? Verse 54. And when his disciples, James and John, saw this, they said, Lord, wilt thou have... I can't even say it. Wilt thou that we command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, even as Elijah did? But he turned and rebuked them and said, You know not what manner of spirit you are of. For the little boy is not come to destroy men's life, but to save them. The little foal of man has not come to destroy man, but to save them. Now you can take that and put it in everybody's Old Testament pipe and let them smoke it. Okay? Everybody that says, well, but how do you worship a God that does all this? All right. If you want me to explain this, you're going to have to give me like 3 hours, and I'll tell you why I do. If you don't, just trust me. Jesus is the little boy, right? Jesus is the little boy of a man. And his disciples see these people throwing rocks, spitting, whatever they did back in the day that gestured that we hate you. And they're like, let's call down fire and brimstone. Let's end this thing. Jesus is like, you don't even know what you're talking about, guys. You don't understand. This is not about what Abraham was trying to do with Isaac. This is not the messed up religion of Abraham. This is not the method of Elijah. This is not the motive of Moses. Verse 57. Actually, we're going to stop right there on that. We're not going to read that any further. We're not going to read that any further. We're going to jump to saying 106 out of the Gospel of Thomas. I read this last week. Jesus said, when you make the two into one, you will become children of humanity. And when you say, mountain, move from here, it will move. All right. So, we done the song last week, Foxes. I wrote that song, right? The Son of Man. Foxes have their holes. Birds have their nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Jesus quotes this multiple times throughout the Scriptures and in the Gospel of Thomas. But that song is a reality because the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head, right? So this past week we were recording it. We put the video on Facebook. If you want to see it, I can send it to you. But Kristen was playing a little cajon. She did a great job. She did a great song. But Marshall's in there playing with us during that song, right? And if you watch the song all the way to the end, something significant happened. Our dog, or not a little dog, it's a big dog, Iris, is laying in the kitchen floor. She's just sleeping as we're playing our music because everybody at our house has learned to function in chaos, right? So we can all sleep through a tornado. But after the song, we're singing this song. Today the Son of Man has found a place to lay his head. Today the Son of Man has found a place to lay his head. The pillow of my God. I'm the pillow of my God. Marshall goes over there and lays his little head on that dog. To end that. Like, it's in everything we're doing. They're leading the way. He's leading the way. So, do you see what I'm saying? The Son of Man has found a place to lay his head. Marshall is so connected with those animals. Do you remember being little and being connected with your pets? That's why you still act like a little kid when you get your dog, right? I mean, we know some people, their kids have moved out. Their kids are long gone. But you hear them when they get home in the evenings and they call their dogs in their front yard and they're like, it's like turns them into a little kid again. And then the dogs, what does the dogs mean? Why do dogs do that? Because they're man's best friend. Why do our animals do that? Because we relate with them. So what animal is Jesus trying to get you to relate with? A ram? Like Chris Stapleton or whatever his song is. Is he wanting you to be a ram? Like Sam Elliott? Ram. Is that it? Or is he relating with the foal? The little lamb. The little foal. He is trying to get you to see the Son of Man is the little lamb. Okay? All right. I got to show you this. I'm going to try and show you this. I'm going to be a little unorthodox here, but check this out. I saw this. Kristen sent me this. I got to show it to you. Oh, my Bluetooth's on. Hold on. Now we're rocking. Now we're rocking.
You look so pretty. Who looks so pretty? Carrie looks so pretty.
The little girl's what she says.
Her looks so pretty. Who? Girl looks so pretty, Daddy. What girl? That girl in your phone. Charlie, that's you. That's you, Charlie.
See what happened? The little girl was looking at her daddy's phone. And she said, "That little girl's so pretty, Daddy." He said, "What little girl?" She said, "The little girl on your phone." He said, "That's you, Charlie." She said, "Who?" "That's you. You're the little girl. It's you." And her face just lights up because she sees who she really is. She sees that she's the one. And that's the whole ministry of Jesus. That's the whole point of the gospel, is to show you that it's you. You are the one. You're the pearl of great price. We'll do this really fast, but go to Mark chapter 11. Mark chapter 11. We're going to wrap this up. Mark chapter 11. Don't sound like everybody's give up, right? Everybody's just, "Oh man, I'm tired, God. I can't turn these Bible pages no more." I can tell by your Bible how interested you are. Mark 11. Mark 11. All right. Verse 2. And Jesus said unto them, "Go your way," he's telling his disciples, "into the village over against you, and as soon as you be entered into it, you shall find a colt tied, whereon never a man has sat. Loose him and bring him unbroken." You know what an unbroken colt means? It means he's not a ram. It means he's not been broken, beaten into subjection. He's not been trained. He doesn't know how to ride. He doesn't know how to do any of these things. Sounds like religion. Sounds like you're caught in the toil. Sounds like you're in the briars. No, not this lamb. He said, "Go get me a foal. Go get me a colt that's never been rode. Go get me a colt that's never tried to earn it, that's never had to be something that he's not naturally already. Get me the colt that's never been sat on by anthropos. Go get me the colt that's never been sat on by a man." Verse 3, "And if any man say unto you, Why do you say this? Say ye that the Lord hath need of him, and straightway he will send him hither." Yeah, get this. Verse 4, "And they went their way and found the colt tied by the door, without in a place where two ways met. And they loosed him." So the two become one. And that's where they find the colt. It's where two ways meet, and they loose him. And they freed him. They brought the colt to Jesus. And certain of them that stood there, they asked him, "What are you doing?" They said, "Jesus has need of this colt." Verse 7, "And they brought the colt to Jesus and cast their garments on him, and he sat upon him. And many spread their garments in the way, and others cut down branches off the trees and strawed them in the way. And they that went before and they that followed cried, saying, Hosanna, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the kingdom of our father David that cometh in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest." Except Jesus wasn't riding the steed of David. Jesus wasn't riding the stallion. He wasn't riding the white horse. He was riding the donkey. He was riding the little foal that he had been spending his entire ministry referring to himself as the Son of Man. The Son of Man. We don't talk about this enough. That's how he refers to himself. The little foal of man. The little foal of man. And now, how much more does the triumphant entry make sense to you now? That he's not riding on a stallion. He's not riding on the horse that Peter wanted Macho Man Randy Savage to ride on. He's riding on the colt, the little foal of man. And what does a donkey do? You want me to tell you a little bit about donkeys? Tell you a little bit about donkeys. They're versatile. They're perfect for children to ride. They carry and pull extreme loads, like 2 and 3 times the weight of their own body. They're stoic. Their limited fear response is mistaken for stubbornness. That old stubborn donkey over there. He's just stubborn. No, he's just not scared. They love other animals and human companions. Even short-term separation can be extremely stressful for a donkey. Lazarus. Think about Lazarus. Jesus wept, right? I'm the little boy of man. And you do a little bit of research on donkeys. They say if another animal that the donkeys become used to dies, it's best that you leave them with the animal for at least 30 minutes. Because if you don't leave them with the animal for 30 minutes, they will not recover. They will be stressed out over the lost animal. So Jesus is referring to himself as this. I want to remind you what we read a minute ago. For the Son of Man has not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. He's our humble and peaceful King. He's the meek and lowly servant, riding a lowly donkey, a little foal that represents, if any man wants to enter the kingdom, he must come as a little child. When the two become one. Now Abraham took Isaac up to the mountain. To what? Abraham took Isaac up to the mountain. The Old Testament says he saddled his ass. He saddled his ass to take him up the mountain. And that was a mature donkey. Abraham took the grown donkey to take his son and sacrifice his son. And this is what the church has got wrong. We think for the church to succeed, we have to sacrifice the next generation. Wrong. For the church to succeed, we don't ride the mature donkey. We don't throw our kids on a mature donkey to take them into slavery. No, we ride the humble little foal of man. We ride the generation that says, this is how we do it. We hand it off. This is what we do. We don't try and build our tabernacles with Moses and Elijah. We don't try to say, thou art the Christ, and thou art the Christ, and you're macho man, and we're going to build our tabernacles for Elijah, and we're going to heal, and we're going to raise the dead, and we're going to do all these things, and we're going to have dominion, right? Except Jesus does not do any of those things as far as what's saying. Of course, he does miracles, but he does not get into this saying, I need you to go reign and rule, right? I need you to go overcome and be powerful, right? Of course, we need to bring the gospel to people. But we have interpreted that as we are superhumans or something. Like we're supposed to Clark Kent this thing or something. We're supposed to Bruce Wayne this, right? We're supposed to be Superman. We're supposed to be Batman. We're supposed to have these super healing powers. No. You're supposed to love. You're supposed to love. Jesus made himself of no reputation. That's right. He made himself of no reputation, taking on the form of what? A servant. A little foal. A little boy. Take two people that hate each other. I don't care what walk of life. Take two people that hate each other, put them in a room with a little kid. I don't care who they are. Put them in a room with a little kid and watch two people that cannot stand each other look at the kid and look at each other and laugh. Because that's what they do. You heard that? You hear the babies. That's what the Gospel of Thomas says. That Jesus saw these babies nursing, said, this is what the kingdom looks like. The disciples like, so we got to be babies? No. When the two become one. How do the two become one? When you realize it's you, Charlie. The little girl you're looking at in my phone is you. Look in your mirror. Look at yourself with the eyes of your Father. You're not on Mount Transfiguration waiting on Him to crown you with some royalty, with some massive championship ring or some big trophy. No. You're waiting on Him to say what? This is my little boy in whom I'm well pleased. I talked about this Wednesday night, but I'll sum this up talking about this today. This week I did a breathing exercise, and it's called priming. I've talked about it a little bit, but you do kind of an exercise where you're reaching up and down, and you're getting your heart rate pumping, and then you reflect on a memory. And in this memory, so there's something wild that happens when you do this, because if I tell you to think of something, you're going to think of something. But if I tell you to go get your heart rate up and then think of something, you won't think about the thing you thought about before you got your heart rate up. I'm serious. That's true. It's really true. Like, I'll tell you to think of a memory, and the memory you think of will be different than the one you think of if you go do some exercises and then think of a memory, because your body is physiologically changing, right? So then when your body physiologically changes, your mind and your memory and your emotions, and it all meets, and your spirit starts to throw up something that you have long forgotten. And you will be sitting there weeping, and this is what happened to me this week. I did my exercise, I did my little motions, and then I reflected, and then immediately I was standing in the outfield as a little boy. And it was at some ball practice. I don't know where. I know my dad was the coach. I don't remember what I did. I know I made a good play. I don't remember what the play was, but I remember my dad it was coach pitch, so we were practicing. My dad was throwing the balls to kids to hit, and I was in the outfield shagging balls. So I must have made a good play. So I threw the ball into my dad after I made the play, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, that was a pretty good catch. I think Dad liked that. My dad gets the ball. He catches the ball, and he stops the practice to look at me, and he looks at me like this. I'm like thinking to myself, did I throw the ball in wrong? Did I not hold my mouth the right way while I caught the ball? Is my shoe untied? And he's looking at me like, and he says, and I'd forgotten it. I've not thought about this as a grown man, I promise. But he looks at me and he says, "Good play! Good job!" But he says it in his fierce, competitive mindset, like he says it as my dad on the ball field. In his way, it was him saying, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." And I remember the grass walking back out to my position. That's all I remember. I remember my dad just told me I made a good play. And I remember walking back out to my position thinking, I've made it. My dad's proud of me. He's proud that I caught that ball. But I knew that in the way he said it, he wasn't just saying good catch. He was saying, "You're my son. You're good, and I love you." And on all that, and in my dad's own stern, crazy way. It was the most loving thing he could have done. If you know my dad, me and him are way different. I'm much like my mom. My brother's much like my dad. We don't relate the same way. But when he looked at me like that, with fire in his eyes and a sword coming out of his mouth, he said, "Good play." And I remembered that. And I knew at that moment that we're not far from any memory that you feel you've lost. You're not far from the two becoming one. You're one breath away from being the real child that you always have been. So how do you do it? Pray in faith as that little girl, as that little boy, not trying to earn anything, not trying to be good enough to be loved. You're not anything to be. Your righteousness is filthy rags. We don't earn it. We're not the ram. We're the lambs. We're the little sheep. It's what he tells Peter. "Peter, do you love me? Then feed my sheep." I love you, Jesus. No. Do you love me? "Yeah, I love you, duh. You're Macho Man Randy Savage." "No, feed my sheep." "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, I love you. Feed my sheep." the Son of Man has to be turned over into the hands of men. And that's what we've done. We've been exiled into manhood, into adulthood, and we have to recognize that this is not who we are. Who we are is the one from the beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. The Word was face to face. The Word was God. That's right. The Word was God. You look like your Father. You look like Jesus. You look like God. You look like the little child. You look like the foal. All right. One more thing. Abraham and Isaac, right? He's taken Isaac up on a full-grown donkey. Mother, as you said, mother donkey. Oh, mother donkey. He's taken Isaac up on that mother donkey, mature mother donkey, to sacrifice the next generation. Just to reiterate this. Because we think that we have to sacrifice the next generation to be successful, and we don't. The way we succeed is by giving the future to the children. We give the future to the children. We don't ride the mature royal stallion. We let the little foal ride us into Jerusalem. All right. Be blessed. Invite all y'all to like, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things. Join us this coming Wednesday night. Join us next Sunday here at New Testament Church of the Firstborn. And say it with me. I love Him because He first loved me. Y'all be blessed. Now remember, come on up.